Digital banking is evolving fast, and in the UAE, one homegrown player is looking to redefine what a bank can be. Wio Bank is positioning itself as the region's first platform bank, and together with the ADX, it's launched Loan Against Investments, allowing investors to unlock liquidity without selling their ADX listed shares. Joining us today is JAYESH-PATEL, CEO of Wio Bank. Jayesh, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Rachel. Thanks for having me.
So, Wio Bank is often described as the region's first platform bank, but in simple terms, what does it actually mean for a customer? Tell us a bit more about your vision.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think in the digital age, customers have moved on from just expecting a bank to be a place with an account and a few tools. I think what they need is more operating systems to help either run their businesses or run their personal lives. And that's what we are. We are a platform which has services that are directly financial services related and that aggregate other elements like accounting, invoicing, and other platforms. So we become a platform for you to operate both your personal life and your business. Yeah, so I think it's the taking advantage of the digital capabilities that exist out there, so that as an individual or a business, you can focus on what's important to you. We help you with everything else.
Incredible. And I want to dive a bit deeper into some of those things that you're offering, particularly to the SME market. But I do want to talk about, in partnership with the ADX, you recently announced the launch of Loan Against Investments, which is this new product that allows investors to borrow cash against their ADX listed shares. This is a significant milestone for the whole region. So what drove the decision to launch Loan Against Investments?
Yeah, look, we're very excited about it, and the partnership with ADX is incredible. Look, investors globally are looking to get more out of their investments. Yeah, uh, and whether it's equities or any of the other asset class. One of the big things we thought would be great if investors can pledge their shares, uh, continue to get the upside on the equity market, which the ADX is a fantastic exchange, and take out some of the money and invest in other opportunities. Yeah, and so this, with a few clicks of a button, allows you to pledge your shares, access some of the liquidity, and maybe invest in some of the other stuff you want to invest in. So we are super excited about this. We think it's the start of one asset class, and we'll continue to build this up.
Excellent. And so many traditional banks are also investing heavily in tech, but you were obviously born digital. Where, in your opinion, does a native digital bank still have a real edge over the incumbents today? And where do you feel the pressure from them as they move into the digital banking space?
Yeah, look, it's a question we get often. Uh, I think digital banking has started about 8, 10 years ago, and it's been continuing. Uh, I think it's less about just the technology. Yeah, you're right. Banks are catching up on technology. I think it's about two other big things. One is the principles you operate in. Yeah, I think digital native companies are super customer centric. Yeah, and the principles they build their products with are super customer centric. The second big thing is the organization structure, how you organize your company to ensure you achieve this customer centricity. I think that's the big difference uh, in digital companies, where digital companies are designed, structured, and incentivized to make sure you deliver the best stuff for the customer. And I think this may be a little bit of an evolution for the more traditional banks to catch up on. And therefore, I still think there's an edge. If you look at the data, digital banks are doing fairly well globally. Uh, in 3 years, we've grown significantly in the UAE. We are the leaders in the SME banking space. On the retail space, we've grown significantly. So I think digital banking, the results you see are largely because banks are focused a lot more, digital banks are a lot more focused on the consumer. And I think the organizational structure, the kind of people and the principles are the big differentiator.
It's a really interesting point because often when you think of like digital first, you would intuitively think that it was less customer centric, but actually it's been built with only the customer in mind. So I think that's a really interesting point. And previously, Jay, you've talked about payments and wealth management as this next leg of Wio's growth. And why those two specifically? And what gaps do you think still exist in the market today that Wio can perhaps plug in and fill?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, payments is a really interesting space. It's always I think the new hot topic in payments is agentic commerce. So how can you have agents go and bid for the product you want, or when the product price drops, you can go ahead and the agent buys it for you. The AI agent buys it for you. So I think there's a lot of room for innovation in that space. Uh, we are an enabler to help our customers execute the transactions they want. Our objective is to make it as simple, safe, and transparent as possible. So we think this is a space to invest in, especially with agentic commerce. Yeah, we think there's an opportunity to improve the experience and the possibilities. So we invested in that. Well, it is an interesting space. I think generations are getting wealthier. Managing money is becoming more important. I think there's a huge shift globally. I think markets like the US moved a lot earlier, but people are moving away from fixed deposits and savings to more exposure to markets. We think there's a lot of room for customers to plan their future better, whether it's through automated investing. Or other products. I think AI is bringing an incredible shift also. It makes it easier to understand, easier to manage the risk you want to take, and helps you structure how to achieve more of your goals. So both these areas, we see huge technological shifts in customer demand. That's why we want to invest in that and grow in those two spaces.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much, Jay. It's been a pleasure having you on the show and seeing all the focus areas as one of the region's first digital banks here. So thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.